So welcome back everyone, Mike here. Kind of an overcast and gloomy kind of day here today in western Pennsylvania. It's Saturday afternoon and the building crew, they just left for the day. They'll be back on Monday. Now in today's video, we're going to do a quick walk around. I'll show you everything they got done today, and we're also going to answer a whole bunch of questions. Since we started this project, we've had a lot of questions in emails, in the comments on the videos, Facebook messages. Things like, who's your contractor? You know, how much does something like this cost? What does the whole process look like? So today we're going to answer all of those questions plus a whole bunch more. Alright, here we are on the back side of the building. They got all the siding on this the other day. Then today they got the siding done on this side here. I really like this color. I do. Looks nice. So they got this done here. And then if you come around to this side, they got almost all the siding here. They got that shed roof there trimmed up pretty good. They got a little bit more to finish there, but it's coming right along. Now I think on Monday, they should be pretty close to finishing it. They still have this section of roof to put on here, some more siding. I mean, there's a lot of little buttoning up to do, but they're pretty quick. So I'm thinking Monday or Tuesday, they should be finishing up, you know, with what they're doing here. And besides this half of the roof here, they need to finish the siding on this side of the building and install this last window right here. So things are coming along very nicely, and I think it's looking great. I'm really happy so far. I'm sure for many people that are considering building a building like this on your property, it can be a little overwhelming and a little bit frustrating getting started. You know, you don't know who to call, you don't know who to trust, you don't know what the process is, and that's kind of how I was. And actually my real job, you know, I work in the oil and gas industry, and I hire contractors every day to build lease roads and well pads and do maintenance work. But my job's actually pretty easy right now because I've been working in the same area with the same contractors for almost 10 years now. You know, those first couple years, kind of got to weed through some contractors, find the right ones, but at this point it almost kind of runs itself. But this was all new to me. Now when I started looking for someone to build this building, I did a ton of research. I went online, talked to a lot of different people. I found, you know, real small companies, real big companies, and then I found a company in Ohio called Pole Barns Direct. I went to their website. Turns out their office is only a couple miles from my office in Ohio. So right about the time that I decided I wanted to at least get a quote from Pole Barns Direct, I found out that a guy that I used to work with, he was having a building built by them and he was very happy with it. So a few days later, I was over in Ohio and I stopped by Pole Barns Direct. And I just walked in, introduced myself, you know, hey, I'm in the market for a building. Can you explain to me how this whole process works and what do I have to do to get a quote? They said, we can get started on that right now. So I sat down and we sketched the entire building out. And I had been, you know, looking at doing this for a while. So I thought I had everything figured out, but they brought up a lot of things that I had missed or didn't think of. And we had pretty much everything included in that sketch. And he said, I'll email you a quote next couple days and we'll go from there. I said, okay. So just a couple days passed and they emailed us a quote. When I looked at it, I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't fall off my chair or anything. So I went over it with Melissa, and at that point we decided to go a little bit bigger. Initially we were going to go 40 by 60, but we decided to make it 40 by 72, a few other minor changes. So I sent him an email explaining all that. He said, no problem at all, I'll send you a revised quote. I think we got that the very next day. At that point, I was pretty committed to going with Pole Barns Direct. A few days later, I called them and said, yeah, we would like to proceed and have this building built. They said, no problem at all, they'll put us on the schedule and they'll send us a whole packet of information in order for me to get my building permit. So he emailed, you know, the detailed drawings, the engineered plans for the trusses, everything that I would need for the building permit. I took that to the township that we lived in. That took some time, but I did get my building permit, and at that point is when we were going to sign the agreement. So we scheduled a meeting for here on the property, and one of their guys came out, and we spent, I'm guessing, 2.5 hours together, went over everything. I mean, every little thing, all the colors, the trim, the doors, the gutters. I can't even remember. I mean, it was 2.5 hours, and I'm really not into that kind of stuff, to be honest with you, but it is a great idea because they take care of any problem before it happens. I'm more of a, yeah, when you're getting started kind of guy, and that kind of attitude leads to problems down the road. That's why they spend so much time at that meeting. I mean, it was a good 2.5 hours, and we discussed everything. I knew exactly what I was going to get by the time that meeting was over. So after that point, you know, I signed the contract, we're on the schedule, and then they said they'd be like 6 to 8 weeks out. They told me that initially. I said, okay. So I got the building site all ready, and as you know, Melissa and I, we went on vacation. And before we went on vacation, we had like a pre-construction meeting here, and they come out and they staked the whole building out, and we went over everything one more time. It didn't take as long as the first time because a lot of that stuff was worked out. But we went over everything, when they were going to schedule delivery, the whole 9 yards, and then Melissa and I left for vacation. Now, something worth a mention about that pre-construction meeting, the guy's name was Kyle that came out here, super nice guy. But you know, he spent about a half an hour staking the whole building out. He's running around with stakes, he set up his rotating laser, checked the site, make sure it was all good. And we were just kind of talking, and I was like, I didn't realize it'd be over quite this far. And he said to me, you want us to move it? And like he was willing to go back through all that again, you know what I mean, without even asking. I said, no, I like it where it is right now, but I just like that kind of attitude. You know, he spent all that time doing that, but he had no problem doing it all over again if I wasn't happy. So at that pre-construction meeting, Kyle told me they would be delivering all the materials in 2 weeks. I said, that's perfect. Melissa and I are leaving for vacation. We actually left that same day. We headed out west. Now, when we were on vacation, I got a phone call, said they're actually a little bit ahead of schedule, and could they deliver the materials a day early? I said, no problem at all, we'll be home just in time. I had a little bit more fence and gate to pull out, if you remember, so I did that, and then they delivered all the materials, and that guy was fantastic. He backed that tractor trailer in here, had that Moffett on the back, he unloaded everything in like 20 minutes or half hour, I don't even know how long it took, worked out perfectly. The very next morning, they started construction on the building. Now that day they had a little breakdown on the way over. They got a late start on that Friday, but they got a bunch of poles set. And then that following Monday, I mean, they took off. All the posts were up. I think the next day they're setting trusses. We are like 6 or 7 days into this build, and you see what they've gotten done so far. So that kind of brings us to today. Now, I made some notes here so I know what I'm talking about. But for me, this whole thing was pretty much a 10-step process. You know, I stopped by their office, they sent a quote, made a few changes, revised drawing, revised quote. We agreed to the quote. We met on site, went over everything. Then 2 weeks prior, we had a pre-construction meeting, then delivery, and then the build. Once the build is done, the last thing that they will do, they'll come out for like a final walkthrough, check everything out, make sure I'm happy, make sure it's all good. So for me, this is kind of a 10-step process, and it has gone flawlessly so far. I'm very, very impressed. As a matter of fact, these guys, when they're here working, they're not out running to get materials or anything like that. Every single thing that they needed was on that truck, and they can just stay here and work. It's worked out really, really well. Now, as far as what this building costs, I know a lot of people are interested in that. First, I'll go over everything that was included, and I know I'm going to miss a few things, but you get the general idea. The building is 40 by 72, have that 16 by 24 shed roof coming off of that side over there. I have 2 10 by 10 insulated garage doors, 2 36-inch man doors, 11 windows, they're 3 by 4. And we also did a lot of little extras that not everybody would need. Like we did the 5-inch seamless gutters. They're not up yet, but they will be. The 1-foot overhangs on all sides, which I think really looks nice. The wainscoting. You know, those are things, if you're just building an equipment shed, you may not need that type of thing. But I know I'm missing a few things, but you get the general idea. It's a pretty nice building, pretty well loaded up. $53,000 for the building. Now I'm going to have about $15,000 in concrete, okay? That would put me right at about $68,000. That one double door over there was $1,000. So that puts me at $69,000. So that's a good chunk of change. It really is. However, I think it's money well spent. I do. Especially today. Matter of fact, I drove by a Ford dealership today. I knew I was going to do this video, and I wanted to get an idea what else you could get for like $70,000. Here's a new Ford Expedition. $77,895. Wow. Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. Almost $78,000 for a Ford Expedition. And when you look at that compared to what I'm getting here for $69,000 or $70,000, it's a no-brainer. Now, as far as the inside goes, we'll definitely be spending more money there. I'm thinking when it's all said and done, I'm probably going to be around $85,000 or $90,000. I'm going to do a lot of the work myself. We're going to finish the game room and the garage. It'll have a bathroom in there, small little kitchen. It's going to have pretty much everything you need inside. But yeah, I'll probably have, I don't know, $85,000, $90,000. We'll go over that whole thing when it's all completely done. But that should answer a lot of your questions that you had today. Just the building itself, right about $53,000. I'll have about $15,000 in concrete, and I couldn't be happier with Pole Barns Direct. I'm telling you, this whole process has just went flawlessly. It really has. So if you're interested in a building, feel free to check them out. And like I said, you know, if you're in Western Pennsylvania, West Virginia, you know, the northern part of West Virginia or Ohio, I'd give them a call. But I'll put a link to their website in the description and their phone number. Tell them I said hi, and you'll be pleased. It's just been great. It really has. But anyway, I think that's about it for today's video. The next one, you'll probably see this building pretty much complete, at least the exterior of it. And then there's a ton of work to do after that. So there'll be a lot of good content coming up. And like I always say, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like button, click subscribe, and share them with your friends. Thanks.